Hey YouTube, how's it going? Ed here with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Yves Saint Laurent's Opium pour Homme Eau de Parfum. This was first launched back in 1995 and at the time was something of a daring move by Yves Saint Laurent. I mean, can you imagine back then a men's fragrance in Eau de Parfum concentration? Even now, Joe Average is ever so slightly suspicious of any men's fragrance still bearing that same title. So you can see how this was a pretty bold move at the time. But then, creating controversies and defying ideas was something of a speciality of the Yves Saint Laurent of the past, and both the men's and women's versions of Opium are prime examples of this ethos. Before I get into what the fragrance actually smells like, I just want to briefly talk about the bottle, because from a distance at least, it looks absolutely beautiful. It is a deep indigo blue with a gold trim, and on the top we have the little YSL logo there. Unfortunately, when you pick it up, it feels very cheap, flimsy and plasticky, and in fact it has a little panel at the bottom there which pops open, and this is actually the casing for the more familiar looking eau de toilette shaped bottle. If Yves Saint Laurent were to ever release this fragrance again, which I hope sometime in the future they will do, what I would love to see them do is rework the bottle, make it out of a more expensive, substantial material, make the casing, the actual bottle itself, keep the colour scheme and the design the same though, because this is, like I said, from a distance, it looks beautiful, the colour scheme is great, but unfortunately when you pick it up and hold it in your hand, it does feel a little cheap and flimsy and plasticky. But nevertheless, it's quite a pretty bottle. It's a shame that it doesn't live up to the quality of the juice inside. Anyway, what does this fragrance actually smell like? Well, from the opening spray, your skin's blanketed with this deep, rich blackcurrant note, and with that we get undertones of star anise which vie for your attention but never become too harsh. Also thrown in, we've got tiny hints of the galanga, and there's a touch of sheer sweetness in the top as well. In the mid, the blackcurrant slowly starts to fade away, and we're left with some of the star anise, but now with the peppery spices starting to take centre stage, giving an aromatic yet a smooth feel. It's not too harsh because of the genius usage of galanga for a transparent gingery feel, and also in particular the tolu balsam, which complements the pepperiness perfectly and gives a tinge of light smokiness and a treacly sort of a smell. This gives the mid warmth and balance and smooths it out a little bit, and from halfway through the mid to the base there, the tolu balsam really starts to bloom and you can really smell its effect. In the base, the whole thing starts to become a lot sweeter. We get that sensual vanilla creeping in. There's also a little bit of atlas cedar, and also a tiny touch of the tolu balsam left over for a slight fruity, residual, resinous smell to it. But what really dominates here is the vanilla. It's very sensual, it's almost a creamy vanilla, and the base feels opulent. If you've had issues at any point in time during the life of the fragrance, like me for example, I don't like the star anise in this and I struggle to live with it, but the base completely redeems any issues that you may have had with the fragrance prior. In my opinion, I kind of think that the Eau de Parfum version of this is what Opium proper should have been in the first place. I mean, no disrespect to lovers of the original Eau de Toilette, but this makes the Eau de Toilette rendition feel screechy, obtrusive and sadly dated, where this has stood the test of time. This is an amazing fragrance which embodies a feeling of lushness and opulence through its lifespan. This is a great fragrance for the cooler weather or for relaxed evenings out. There's something about the heat that just destroys this completely, and you'll only end up giving yourself and those around you a headache if worn in such conditions. Also, you might get some ever so slight weird animalic and weird menthol accords that pop out of seemingly nowhere, so just be careful when you wear this in the heat, because it's a very potent fragrance. So when it comes to the number of sprays, I would suggest less is definitely more. But this is a very classy, refined, smooth feeling fragrance, and it's really, really nice. Age range for this, I would have to say between early 20s and up to your mid-50s. This is an amazing oriental fragrance. It is a little bit fruity, a little bit spicy, a little bit sweet, and in my opinion I would go so far as to rank this even above the Mighty Ego East, purely for the fact that it is simpler in design, it is easier to wear, so it opens up to a broader audience. This fragrance has great sillage, longevity and projection. I get at least a solid 10 hours of projection from this, and longevity anywhere between 12 and 15. This is an incredible fragrance, born from a time before Yves Saint Laurent cosmetics and fragrances was swallowed whole by the evil L'Oreal empire, and before the IFRA came in with their crazy regulations. But anyway, ratings for this fragrance: sillage 4 out of 5, projection 4 out of 5, longevity 4.5 out of 5, and the overall smell 4 out of 5. Sorry. Now, despite being launched in 1995, this is still very much relevant. It doesn't smell dated, it hasn't aged a day in its life. You can put it on today and no one's going to accuse you of smelling like an old man. If you can get a hold of this at a decent price, then I suggest you do so. As a rare and discontinued fragrance, this would be an invaluable addition to anyone's fragrance collection. Anyway, that's been my little review of Yves Saint Laurent's Opium pour Homme Eau de Parfum. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Cheers for watching and take care.